Shut up and sit down.
Hell yeah! Hell yeah! Hell yeah, Batman!
Our bikes love us and we love them back as we ride through the city by the cars like black on the teeth of the town. We just keep on singing. We're unstoppable.
Oh, hell yeah.
G&O. Unstoppable kids. Yeah. Get your bike and go.
You are listening to the Dialed Podcast with Matt Legrand, Evan Price, Lance Hepler, and Jake Von Turing. One of the most important decisions you will make is to be in a good mood. For every minute you are angry, you lose 60 seconds of happiness. So, crank it up and be happy, my friend.
When things are good, when things are hard, we ride together, we don't drive cars, but together we make such beautiful music.
Oh, hell yeah, brother. Yeet.
Unstoppable mamas. A G&O. We're unstoppable. Unstoppable kids. Yeah. Get your bike and go. Get your bike and go. Unstoppable papas. Pedal and flow.
Hell yeah! Hell yeah! You're doing it good, buddy. Great job.
Hi, and welcome back to the Dial Podcast. I'm Jake Von Duren. I'm here with Lance Hepler.
It's Crash Hepler right here for your listening pleasure today.
Duke Kaboom.
Duke Kaboom.
Went boom boom.
Can you make that jump? Yes, I Canada.
I can't even make fun of you because I also crashed.
You also crashed.
And it was way less glorious. I can promise you it was much more embarrassing. Whatever embarrassing crash you have, I will top it in my back pedal.
All right.
And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is Evan Price.
What's up, folks? We got Ghost, my willing sponsor, orange cream flavor. I grabbed Lance a Monster because,
You got me the Monster Juice.
it was colorful.
the Aussie lemonade flavor.
Have you had that
Whoever
before?
doing the artwork on
tasty.
Monster these days is, killing it. It's a beautiful mural on the front of this can.
Thank you, Evan.
Is it any good, though?
Yeah, it's good.
Tasty good?
It's tasty.
How much caffeine is in one of those things?
Oh, that's a great question.
They're like 120 milligrams.
That's actually not that bad.
That's one serving?
Yes.
So get this. You know
Wait.
those little Starbucks like cold brew thingies, like the
Yeah.
little 8-ounce ones?
Yeah.
160.
Okay. 350 in those. So I was comparing it to actually the energy drinks. I'm like, God, these actually don't have that much caffeine in them. Like
Yeah, but it's
comparatively
all the
to
other
other
garbage
things.
that you can't
Oh, there's
even
tons
read
of
on
garbage
there.
in these things. Yeah, I mean, it's nothing but garbage.
No, this is healthy.
It's juice, Jake.
If you say so.
It says it's healthy on the can, so I believe it.
It says mostly juice, okay? I'm not sure what else it is, but it's got some juice in it.
And last but not least, Matt Legrand.
Matt?
Oh,
Matt?
where's Matt?
Matt couldn't make it today.
I saw Matt yesterday, though.
Really?
I can say things that Matt would say about the tour.
Oh,
here.
there you go.
Yeah, I think I know where he stands on many things.
All right, we're going to pick up today kind of where we left off with the last tour, kind of a little bit of an update. That will be our topic for this week. But before we get into that fun stuff, let's run around the table real quick with a little backpedaling and hear what you two Crash Buddies had to do.
I'll go first because
Freshman.
mine is way less exciting.
I want to hear it.
All right, so my back pedal. Triathlon straight after Salem because that is what I do now. And, so it's part of my job. So on Monday, went back to job. But on Sunday, I was planning on having some fun on the mountain bike to get ready for this absurdly long mountain bike race I'm going to be doing in Telluride, which I'm wildly unprepared for. But as I realize, always, I'm sure you guys are the same, whenever you ride with Ed Didlick, our wonderful teammate, you realize that there's a skill set to riding on loose gravel. Ed possesses this skill, and I do not. So when Ed
It takes some practice.
When Ed chooses a route, I need to look at it a little bit closer and be like, is this in Ed's wheelhouse or my wheelhouse? And the answer to this ride was, it was in Ed's wheelhouse. Now, the good news is me and David, I think, got our frustrating day on the bike out of the way because I'm sure to prepare for something like Telluride, it's probably good to get super frustrated on a mountain bike and crash a few times. But I have realized that apparently your power to weight ratio does not mean anything on a mountain bike climb. I'm sure it means something, but it is not as important as on a road bike tarmac because how you handle the bike on the climbs
They handle very differently.
seems to be much more important to me. So,
Weight distribution is a thing.
After about 6 hours on the mountain bike, I realized, wow, my legs are not tired at all and feel great, but every other fiber of my being was tired.
Your hands, your wrists,
Everything,
your
my
shoulders.
head. It was
Yeah.
my
Like a
brain.
little T-Rex at the end of the ride.
Oh, my brain hurt everything. And we, I mean, it was a beautiful ride, to be honest. It was a great day, but I forget the name of the climb that we went. That was one of the really tougher ones. I was like,
Skamania Mines.
cool, that one. Oh my God. It was, I mean, so.
What a
Ed-
great name, by the way.
I think David also barely made it up without getting off. I'm pretty sure David trucked through. Ed trucked through. Me and Cassie made it through this whole ride with us on a gravel ride, on a gravel bike. I do not know how Cassie did that, but I ended up really trying to fight it and stay on, and then toppled over, put my hand out, and took a good chunk out of my hand. But I
Are you
mean,
going uphill or downhill?
Uphill.
You were going uphill.
Oh, yeah.
And just like turfed a corner and ended up putting a hand down.
yeah, just the front end kept on bouncing up, and I'm like, I need to put the front end down. I also now realized I need less PSI. Definitely. 24, 25 was too much.
Tubeless?
Yeah.
You're tubeless? Okay.
I needed like 18 to 20.
Yeah,
for
oh,
this
for your weight,
probably.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was fun, but frustrating at points, definitely.
Yeah.
Like so frustrating just because I'm like, man, I am not good at mountain biking.
We've probably talked
But it's
about this
great practice.
before, but I'm sure a lot of people don't know what the Telluride is, what the ride is all about.
Yeah.
Give us some of the details.
So not this weekend, but next weekend, there is a 100-mile mountain bike race in Telluride, Colorado, which is a pretty isolated town. Very cool town, though. I mean, it's a really nice area. That is locationally in Colorado, where we're flying into Salt Lake City actually to drive there.
Closer than flying into Denver because Denver's on the west eastern front. I don't remember what it's called, but Telluride's like in the western part of the state.
Deep into the mountains.
Yeah.
I mean, it is in the mountains basically. The whole race is going to be between like 8,000 and 12,000 feet. So very high altitude. And it is, I think, 14,000 feet of elevation gain, because I know we got a little more than half, me and David, on the ride. But it's 2 loops. There are 2 brutal climbs. There's other climbs, but there's 2 climbs that make or break your day, basically.
But they're 2 different loops too.
Yeah, it's kind of like a weird figure 80 type thing.
Oh, that's cool. So you don't do the same loop twice.
No, it's different. So one of the first I think that the tough first one, I need to look back at the stats. David has all the stats, is like 5K, and the average percentage. There's some debate around the average percentage apparently, but it's like north of 16% for 3 miles. Now, here's the difference.
You can almost run up faster than riding your
might
bike.
take that approach, but but what Kid has told me is Colorado gravel, and I'm sure there's some actual mountain bikers listening to this. They're like, Evan, you have no idea what you're talking about. But the gravel we have around here is really hard to ride. It is, comparatively to Utah and Colorado, from what Kid has told me. Kid knows a lot more about the mountain biking out there than I ever do. He said, yes, these are very hard climbs, but it's usually hard packed ground and does not have as much loose gravel as we do.
a lot more buffed out.
Yeah, which is not like around here. I think what makes some of these climbs tough, depending on what time of year you're going out to them, is if they just lay down fresh gravel, you really it's just, and I know I'm not strong this, but like your front end just cannot get dug in. You're like feeling like you're constantly trying to find a line that works basically without sliding out. So, I mean, I feel like I have the gearing now and the ability to just sit in the saddle and grind. I'm fine with that. It's just I need a straight line. And
You won't have that.
as little interruptions to that straight line as possible.
You know, like a flowy downhill section, if you're riding up switchbacks, it takes some practice and learning and know-how, just how to ride up a switchback and stay on the bike.
And you got to be like twitchy strong too. Like you got to be able to whip the bike into these. And that is, I do not have that motor pattern built in yet. So it will be, if I make it up this climb without walking the bike, will be the win of the day. I'll be happy as a clam if I can make it up that climb.
Even Leadville, which really isn't a technical course, there's
people
dozens
walking,
and
I'm
dozens
sure.
of people that walk a section of one of the climbs.
I have zero shot.
Especially if somebody stops in front of you. If you lose momentum, forget it. Just get off.
Here's the problem for me too, is that I really can't get back on the bike well on those steeper sections. So once I'm walking
Put your
for
seat
good.
down. Do you have a dropper post?
I do not have a dropper post.
You're gonna crash.
But
again.
But I do have an Allen key.
No, don't mess with the Allen key.
So here's my mission. I'm ready to go there, have fun, and just get through this ride. Like
Yes.
we're just gonna do it. But I know Kit, and Kit is going to embarrass me the entire time by telling every 60-year-old who passes me there to be like, hey, you're beating a pro triathlete right now. Kit will announce that to every guy who passes me.
He's got a mega horn with it like pre-recorded on there.
Or he'll be warning everybody that I'm a triathlete. Be like, guys, do not stay around him. He doesn't know what he's doing.
You realize Kit picked this race so that he could
Kill
just
me.
stomp you.
Yes.
So he could beat you with something.
Me and Kit's relationship, as wonderful as it is over the years, if anybody had met us, they're like, do you guys actually like each other? We're like, oh, yes, we're basically brothers, but we have to dominate each other at every opportunity we get.
I love it.
So his information then on the gravel differences between Colorado and here in the Pacific Northwest, do you think that there's any fallacies there that maybe he's trying to plant some seeds in you so that when you get there, you're going to be like, hey, wait, what the crap? This isn't what you're talking about.
Well, here's the other thing is, regardless of how nicely padded the ground is going to be, it's still going to be 10,000 feet elevation, so
Yeah.
my heart rate might not care. So,
Yeah, your heart rate might be jacked regardless.
yep, well, we're going to make it through it just fine. David's in good shape right now. David rides a mountain bike very well, too. Like David Goodman is a good road rider, and as I've ridden with him more and more, I realize he rides off-road very well, too. He's not quite to Didlick's level. Didlick, in my opinion, of everybody I've ridden with off-road, is there's like Paul, Ed, and God, who else falls in there? Guy Van Ride's pretty strong off-road, too. I'll put like those three.
That's because you haven't ridden with Jake and I.
That's true. I don't ride with you guys.
Off-road.
I'm sure you guys are right up there too. Well, I know that cyclocross, you're specifically up there. I know that Jake has hammered a few gravel rides I've been on with, but like guys I've ridden with, those are like the ones I've seen that are like they crush off road. So yeah, I don't fall in that category, and I don't think even after this race I will, but I will do my darndest.
Me and Jake and Ed did a gravel ride this weekend. Guess who got one of the KOMs?
Jake, right?
Me.
You?
Yeah, so suck it, Evan.
Was it a descent or a climb?
No, it was like a rolling.
You out-climbed Ed?
It wasn't really a climb. It was like a rolling, like technical section.
I bet you could get up.
That's my jam.
You could for sure get up what I stepped off of then. The only problem is I will admit that 18%, it did come down to, like, even Ed was slightly having to, like, really dig in. I do feel like there was, like, a lot of skill and then a little couple luck moments where you just had to make sure that it was, like, your wheel held.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you could get up. But if I'm stepping and walking off, I'd put your odds at 50% better than me.
I step off all the time still, too. So.
Not probably more gracefully than I do. I step off as in falling.
That's good.
Is that going to be his new name over here? Dab?
Dab, yes. I do make that comment. I made that comment because
Just in this past weekend, you're like, dang it, I dabbed.
I dabbed.
Oh, is that stepping off?
Dab is when you put a foot down.
Oh, not fully stepping off, but just a foot down.
Like there are certain trails where like the challenge is to not dab.
Yeah, you want to clean it.
You want to clean it. You don't want to unhook and put a foot down.
I've heard that term in being a cyclist whenever he's doing that in Impossible Riders. Oh,
That's
I cleaned that. Gotcha.
That's
Okay.
what dabbing means is that you unclipped and put a foot down.
As Cassie put it best, though, is we will dabble in this over the years, but we have realized that this is a very specific skill set. It's very hard. Neither of us are very good at it. And two is I really enjoy tarmac because I don't have to think about not dying constantly. And for 6 hours, considering that I might fall for 6 hours gets exhausting.
It's just not as fun. I ride with more of a smile on my face when I'm in the woods
you're
on a
good at
trail. Well, maybe. Going fast, like through the woods, is really, really fun.
I was talking with David, and we were actually comparing it to. I love tougher open water swimming. So like ocean swimming when like you're battling the waves.
Yeah.
But Dave told me, he's like, if I went out there, I would be feeling terrified the entire time. I'm like, okay, I get it. Yeah, I was like, David, switch those emotions. That's me on a mountain bike.
Right.
The entire time I'm terrified I'm going to die. So open water ocean swims more my jam. Mountain biking, I'll keep trying. But anybody who wants to come out and beat me at something and brag about it, just put me on a mountain bike and you'll smoke me, I'm sure.
I love
What about just keeping it like kind of in the middle on a gravel bike? You don't have to go
I think the mountain biking's easier. Because when I had the Crux, I don't handle a gravel bike too well.
I guess there is that. I remember those stories.
Yeah. Do you remember? I mean, like I was
But you're on
terrible
a
at
Crux,
descending.
which is not a gravel bike. It's a cross It's a
bike.
cross bike.
Yeah.
The geometry was not my favorite.
They
That-
have
that
different
was-
geometry.
Yeah.
It's harder geometry for.
But I like riding the
Long
mountain
stuff.
bike better. Like the mountain bike itself, I like riding a little bit better.
Flat bar, you like?
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Also, weight distribution wise, as Ed was telling me too, we realized TT bike and weight distribution obviously way different than on a mountain bike.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. because I realized I was like, I've done a lot of TT riding in this last build, and I get on a mountain bike, and all of a sudden I like forgot where to put my weight, basically. So yeah.
Good times.
But yeah, there's my crash story. Not too glorious.
Hey, Hap.
It's embarrassing. Yeah.
Backpedal.
I did crash this week. I went to short track. I showed up at short track and I raced all my friends. So that was kind of fun. We had a race at PIR. It was the second race in the series. And I raced the Cat 2 50 to 59 group and I rolled in. There were like 20 of us, 25 of us in our division. And the whole front row was all dialed guys.
Big orange wave right there at the front.
It was pretty cool. So I started pretty hot. I actually felt pretty decent, but I'm certainly a shadow of the racer that I was last year, and I'm not quite the same fitness level as I was last year. So I didn't really have any big aspirations. And I quickly, big surprise, they blow the whistle. I take the whole shot. I jam up into the first, second, or third corners, and then one of my teammates went blowing by me, Jay Small, who raced in our group, and we never really saw him again. So
Jay Small might be in the wrong category.
yeah, he might, but he hasn't done a whole lot of short track racing. So
Nobody has.
No, that's true. We haven't had it for 3 years.
Yep.
We missed it for 2 years in a row. So, I quickly fell to like 8th place or something like that. I don't know. It's only a 30-minute race, but I started just pulling people back and picking off my teammates who were all ahead of me.
That 30 minutes has to feel forever, though, right? Because you're like so mentally engaged.
Average heart rate was, drum roll please,
179 for 30 minutes.
That's higher than I've ever touched for 30 minutes.
That is,
you're a young man.
I was jacked.
You are young. You're like,
my max heart rate is like 181, and
You're
I was
like
at
reverse
179
aging at this point, I think.
30 minutes. No, it means I'm not fit. It means
no, man, that's so good to be able to hold that. I mean, like, it means that you're not it means that you're not as aerobically efficient as you were a year ago.
Correct. That's exactly what it means.
It means that your ticker is for sure able to handle a big load right now. So
it was just complete mental. Just I'm in pain. Forget it. Just go.
I want to do some lactate testing on Lance. I was talking about this with Matt that we could do a fun video on like an age comparison on some lactate numbers. I bet you'd be shocked at what you could tolerate because of what your athletic history is as a decathlete.
I've just buried myself so many freaking times.
I bet you can tolerate higher lactate than I can. I would almost I'd bet the house on it actually. Yeah. Just from his background as a decathlete. Yeah.
Anyway, I was in 8th for a while, and for whatever reason, I just started picking people back off.
Nice.
And
somebody else blew their matches.
A teammate Jay Small was in the lead. Terry Hamness was just 10 seconds back from him, just battling to try to pull him back. Chris Weirman was behind him. Then there was Brian Wise and
a lot of guys there.
Somebody else. And I slowly picked my way back and I made it to 3rd place.
Were you behind Mike Hamness too?
No.
Okay.
Mike was behind me.
Okay.
So he made up some ground at the end too.
This has got to be why the dialed numbers were down at PIRs. Literally everybody grabbed their mountain bike and they're like, "Screw the road, we're going to the mountain bike for which is awesome. I think it's great. I mean, it's a good switch of pace.
The fact that they're running those on the same night kind of stinks. I mean, they used to run
just grab the mountain bikes.
short track
on their belt.
Yeah, they used to run short track on Monday nights, and then when the Monday nights would end,
that's when
they would end because short track started.
8
weeks, and then they would sometimes come back for one last month.
Right.
Anyway, it's on Tuesdays, and it's at the same time as PIR.
It's the same time as PIR. So, but I ended up pulling myself back to Weirman with just like a quarter lap to go. I pulled ahead of Weirman.
Nice.
And we were literally like 400 meters to the finish line, and so I was just going all out to keep Weirman off my wheel.
What was your last like 5 minute?
Well, that's what happened.
We need to grab that.
I was like at 181.
Pegged. You were pegged.
I was just
time.
pegged.
Yeah.
Just max because I was trying to.
You
catch
did what
him.
a true VO2 max test is, in my opinion. Whenever everybody does like how I used to do them in the lab when I worked in like a lab was like stair testing. I've been nerding out on this recently, and actually if you can motivate somebody enough, the goal would be like you're gonna peg your heart rate for as long as you can. And if we had like a mask, we would have actually gotten what your actual VO2 max is. Yeah.
So I ended up passing Weirman, and we were both encouraging other because I love my teammates. We love racing each other. It was all fun. But I was just jamming on it, trying to hold him off because I knew because he can sprint too.
Weirman can ride a bike.
And there was one sweeping corner right before the finish line, and
even the finish wasn't really a straight shot. It was just like a big hook to the right.
Big hook to the right.
And you had to get through this section.
This little technical, like Rudy uphill bouncy section.
You would lap me. I can't think of a race I'd be worse at than one ending after a hard turn.
Well, the race had a log in the middle of it. You had to bunny hop.
Yeah, I'm not making
Well, you had an A route and a B route. And the A route was the log, which was clearly the
way
faster
faster.
way. If
like
you could,
4 seconds faster.
If you could bunny hop the log itself,
I
or
like
you had to
bunny
take this
hopping.
big sweeping turn on the outside, and you would lose a couple seconds. So
Anyway, I'm going full gas, trying to hold off Weirman. 50 meters before the finish line, front wheel washes out.
Oh, that's where you crashed. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. I forgot about the crash story part of this. I was
Yeah.
expecting you to come around and win. Oh, well.
So that's why I'm fully on, and I just
Did you jump back on and get second?
I jumped back on and ended up 5th. 2 guys passed me.
Oh wow, that was a close race.
So
yeah.
Weirman passed me and Brian Wise both passed me, who were both we were all battling each other, but I had them.
The sponsors aren't going to like this, man.
But
You're going to get
I blew
dropped.
it.
You
I
can't
crashed.
crash. You can't crash in the sponsor's jersey 50 meters from the finish. That's
I didn't get hurt. I mean,
Yeah.
I lost some skin on my elbow and on my knee, and nothing happened to the
See,
bike.
that's a way cooler crash story.
It was
Way
just-
that's
I actually-
just so much better.
I
High
took out-
speed, 50 meters from the finish. That's great.
I took out a stake,
Oh,
like
right,
a
you really
course
went down.
stake.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, it was fun though. So
That's a blast.
I had a blast. The racing was a blast, and then 20 minutes later, I'm fully pissed at myself for being an idiot and
Well, also
crashing.
your heart rate was pegged at 180 for 30 minutes. I'm sure everything hated you at that point.
the finish though, 6 of the top 7.
6 of the top. No, I think it was 7 of the top 8.
Oh, is that what it was even?
Look it up.
Gosh, I thought it was.
Are we
6.
winning said point series right now?
Are they doing a team competition? I mean,
I
the
was wondering
overall
about that,
bar
yeah.
competition for the overall of Oregon Bicycle Racing
Yeah.
Association. Yes, we're in first place.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, you're right, Jake. 6 of the top 7 were all dialed cycling.
Yeah, for your guys' category, and you guys had a big field, one of the bigger fields of the night.
We had a big field. Yeah.
Should have
So
Cassie come out to
fantastic.
this. Cassie's been doing PIR a bunch, but she did mention maybe she'll
Yeah,
jump in.
I saw her out there when I was doing my
Yeah.
warm up riding. She had finished or was getting ready to do her race. I'm not quite sure, but she was over
Yeah.
there just chatting with some other women. And
Yeah.
hey Cassie, how you doing?
Yep.
So
She's loving bike race. I think we're gonna do. I think she wants to do the hammer crit. I'm pretty sure.
this weekend,
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah. I think she's
be
planning
fun.
on. I'm pretty sure she's planning on doing that. I really want Josh Monda and Jeremiah Romano. I think are gonna do it.
are
I
gonna
think.
do the hammer crit.
I think I want to. I just can't go down.
There's a state championship crit on Saturday, and then the
Yeah.
hammer crit on Sunday. Same course.
Oh, I've
Nope.
got some.
Never mind.
Yeah, different.
Same venue.
Well, it's the regional championship
Yeah.
on Saturday at the Vancouver Courthouse.
Yep.
It's regional being Oregon.
Oh, the hammer crit's down at Swan Island.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
Yes.
that's right.
So
All right.
Yeah, the regional is for Oregon, Washington,
And they
and Idaho.
changed the courthouse crit course, right?
Made it a little bit longer.
Yeah,
so
there's like a
another
longer
turn or two.
Evergreen's going to have a longer straightaway, I think.
Yeah. So there's a couple things going on
Last
there.
year's was fun though. I mean, to be honest, it was wildly technical, but
Yeah.
that brought me back to all the Midwest crits we used to do because Midwest crits used to be like we only got 3 streets.
Right.
We gotta make this happen. It'd be like you have like a half-mile loop that you did 14 million times.
Right.
It seemed like the entire race was based off of how you corner. That was it. It was like you're putting out 600 watts or 0 watts. There's no in between at any
love
point.
Gotcha.
Oh, that's funny. The rest of the week, I ended up, I rode with Jake almost every day still.
Yep.
So we had our lab lunch ride, which was great and well attended. And then we recorded the Alpe d'Huez day, our last podcast. I rode some
yeah, I
mountain
forgot about
bikes.
that.
Yeah, I rode mountain bikes after that, just by myself a little bit and chasing 8-year-olds around the park. That was fun. And then we went up to Timothy Lake. Jake was up there camping with his family and with Ed. Timothy Lake is a beautiful lake up near Mount Hood.
Correct.
And I went and rode gravel bikes with Jake and Ed
It was fantastic.
one day. So
Ed and his wife came up and they camped right next to us. And
Nice.
Lance and Brandy came up and we just kind of like nestled them into our parking area.
just
And they
kinda poached in the
they
same spot.
boondocked our,
Parking lot. Yeah.
our spot over there. And yeah, and then we did and Dustin Gottschall too was up there as well. He was the campsite over from us, and we ended up running into him the first day. He rode with us for a little while, which was kind of neat. So
this is just why these summers are so beautiful up here. I mean, it really is. Like, this is what you wait all year for. Is like these camping trips. I mean, these pictures, let's say. I mean, these are beautiful days.
Yeah.
If anybody's ever wondered, like, why would you live in the Pacific Northwest? It rains so much. Just show them like the 3 months you have right now where you can go out to these places. It's you cannot beat it. It's beautiful. No.
We did some stand-up paddleboarding and fishing with Jake. We all caught some fish.
Nice.
So that was fun. But there's a 17-mile loop around
Timothy Lake
that me and Jake and Ed just ripped. We just ripped one day. It was a lot of fun. We had a good time.
Yeah, just the loop was, I think it was 17 miles. And then I think you and I finished up with just shy of 30 because we went out and just kind of dinked around a little bit more and did a little bit more exploring.
Yeah.
That was fun.
It was fun. We had a great time and it was good until I jumped in the lake after the ride and took a lake bath, and then I took off my kit and hung it up on the back the ladder on the back of my van to dry out, and then I drove away and forgot it there, and my kit all blew off the road. I lost my favorite kit, my favorite pair of bib shorts, and my jersey.
Oh, that's an expensive mistake.
Except that
so and then yesterday, I just got home, just got done unloading, and was just kind of getting ready to go get cleaned up, and I get a text, and it's like, "Did one of you guys lose a jersey?" And it's from Dustin Gottschall, who's up there doing a ride. He's on some forest road number 45, I think it was. He's like, I found like one of the new dialed cycling jerseys. Did you guys somehow lose one of your kits? And I'm like,
he would know it's from one of you guys. He's like, who else was riding
one
from
of
Ed?
us.
Ed immediately chimed in. He's like, nope, not me. And I went and did a quick inventory. I'm like, nope, not me either. And I sent Lance a text. I'm like, hey, are you by chance missing a jersey? And he's like, yes.
That's awesome.
So Dustin found it. So
we're still waiting for that text from him. Hopefully that he finds the gravel bibs and the base
gravel bibs too.
Yeah,
but it's all good.
Yeah,
so. But I had a good week. It was fun.
He found him. He just needs a pair of gravel bibs. Like, didn't find him, Lance.
I am not.
They're gone for good, Lance.
Dustin is a different shape than me. They would be baggy on him. they would not fit on him.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I pretty much had the same week. Just went out and raced mountain bikes on Tuesday at Short Track.
You killed it, Jake.
A great week of biking for you guys, actually. Great week.
Jake, that was a fun race.
Jake did great in the race.
I saw the results, actually.
He beat the guy who beat him the week before.
Yep.
Pretty soundly. And he beat a couple guys who weren't there the week before that were legit. Michael Gallagher is legit, and
I don't know any of these people other than the stories that Lance tells me. So
Jake doesn't care. He just shows up and just breaks souls here. Second place. Good job, Jake.
He ended up second to Shannon Scarrett, who's a former pro cyclocross rider.
Not a bad result. That's good. Yeah.
That guy, he's fast.
He is fast.
He's very fast. Like
very fast.
I hung with him for the first lap and a half, maybe 2 laps, and then all of a sudden, it was like, all right, dude, see ya. And it was kind of cool because we caught up to Claire Honsinger because she was in the men's elite class.
Yes.
And we caught up to her and a couple other people in the elite class that left like 30 seconds before us. And he went around them, and then I went around them and her. And Lance actually got a pretty cool video because she was sitting 2 wheels back of me for a couple laps before we got into some other lap traffic, and she got around, and I let her go with another guy, and he ended up burning a match, and because he was trying to keep up with Claire, and it kind of played to my advantage. But she's stinking fast. Like, she didn't start off super fast, but her closing, her negative split on the whole thing was just nuts.
That's the thing in this region, guys, is, I mean, this is, when we're talking mountain bike racing even, I mean, this is got to be a comparable region in speed to places like Utah and Colorado. It's got to be pretty comparable.
Maybe. Yeah.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
Well, when you got the top end like Claire, at least.
There's always fast people.
Maybe the top 1% is comparable, but that's...
That was pretty cool. Ended up getting second place in the Cat 1 old guys division, which was fun, which actually puts me in first place for the series. So maybe if I can go out tomorrow and have another good race, I can maybe contend for a podium spot. Maybe.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
For the whole series.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, neat. Yeah. I think you got a shot at that for sure. That's. He started in the wrong wave.
I was about to say something and then decided on air, no.
Anyhow,
so Evan was looking at the results, and there was a questionable result in the results, and
I was about to play the "Don't be suspicious."
And And then Lance already hit on all the other stuff about Timothy Lake. If you get a chance to go camping, I've seen quite a few different campgrounds and camping lakes and all that other fun stuff.
You like Timothy Lake a lot, don't you?
That's in our top 3.
That's cool.
And
Okay.
we've seen a few. Lance has probably seen a few more than I have, and I think that he would agree too that that's a beautiful place.
It's beautiful.
Little Crater Lake. That thing is. I just want to go back there and jump in that thing. It's spectacular.
I've been to Crater Lake once. I need to go again.
This is Little Crater Lake.
Little Crater Lake.
That's
Gotcha.
what those pictures were from. If you go to either Jake or
okay.
my's Strava, you'll see pictures.
Warm enough for open water swimming. I see the pictures there. Yeah,
It's super deep. It's not very big though.
pretty cold water.
No idea. Didn't go.
I
through
don't
it.
know. We didn't go in.
These guys told me that you're not allowed to touch it,
You're
and
not.
swim it, and do anything. And I'm looking for
Oh,
signs
really?
everywhere. Didn't see no signs. So
I
maybe.
didn't either.
I usually just wait till somebody tell me not to swim while I'm swimming.
Anyhow, let's move on.
Champ Bailey, top 5. I think he's in the top 5.
Are you in the top 5 still?
I'm the leader in the
There
clubhouse.
is some news outside of the tour
There
that
is.
we should discuss.
Okay, so what do we want to talk about today?
Put your dukes up, dude. Put your dukes up.
there's
Fisticuffs right
yes, there is. So before we get into the tour, I was messaging with actually more than a few. I think I had 3 random group chats going on about what happened in Salt Lake this last week. What was it, yesterday or Saturday?
it was yesterday.
It was yesterday. So the Salt Lake Crit is on the USA Cycling Criterium Championships calendar this
Criterium
year.
Circuit.
Whatever
That's
it is.
A lot of C words.
So
Yeah.
there was Boise the week before. There was Salt Lake City this last weekend. And there was a fist fight at the end of the men's elite
Fisticuffs.
race. Yes.
Put your dukes up.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna fight you.
This is
Jake and I were talking about this before because so Legion of Los Angeles is there's no question
Is good at racing
is
criteriums.
good at racing criteriums. They're probably
1 through 5 at Salt Lake.
Yes.
1 through 5. Control the whole race.
and Best Buddies is another team, and
Mm-hmm.
they have a racer Martinez. What's
Yes.
his first name?
Who is wearing the USA Championship jersey.
Yes.
So I heard there's debate around that. Is he actually the US champion?
Yes.
Okay. So he's the US champ.
Yes.
How did that happen? How did he beat Legion?
Corey crashed.
Okay. Oh, I remember that race. Okay, gotcha. So that's the only way he beat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was about to say he's not touching Corey otherwise. I'm
Yeah,
sure,
Corey
I'm sure
was,
he's
like,
a great
carted
rider.
off
I'm sure
in an
Martinez-
ambulance.
Yeah, so I'm sure Martinez is a great rider. But
Real quick on Best Buddies, is that the same Best Buddies as the big ride that they do? It's kind of like a Fondo-ish
Oh, yeah.
kind of ride.
Is
It's for
that really?
charity, and I think that Tom Brady's a part of it, of that Fondo ride that they do. I'm wondering, because it's very cycling centric, this whole Best Buddies thing in terms of how they go back to support people. I'm wondering if they put together a team to go compete on this.
well, and there's got to be some money behind any team challenging Legion
Yeah.
right now. I mean, Legion's bringing in like former Grand Tour type riders now. I mean, they are the most skilled, best team. Period. So if there's going to be a team that's even close to competing with them, it's got to be somebody who can
I'm
bring
just
in
wondering
money.
if there's an affiliation between those two entities.
Yeah.
I don't know.
'Cause there's a lot of money behind that organization.
Got
and
Tom Brady
behind
making a
Best
team.
Buddies.
We'll have Reggie Miller making a team here soon. Let's do it. I want Criterion teams to be based off of former professional athletes in other sports. Just sponsor teams. We can make it a show.
So here's the thing that happened at the race. Best Buddies, Legion has been dominating crit
Yeah.
racing
Years now.
for a couple years.
I did a deep dive into this one
Yeah.
too. Yeah,
They're-
there's a lot of history going into
Yes.
what happened on Sunday.
They're very
Yeah.
good. It come to 7 or 8 laps to go. Legion's train is almost impossible to get around or to.
Working your
Sorry.
way into that train
yeah.
is a feat.
And
if
so
you're
on
in
the
that train.
on the final lap, Legion was pulling with the
Yep.
top 5 or 6 guys, and a Best Buddies rider,
Martinez, yeah.
tried to jump in.
There's very specific video of what happened to him. Have you seen the video of it?
Oh, I didn't know there was video too.
Yeah, so
I'm sure there would be.
There's a big sweeping left turn going into kind of the lead up into the finish, and Martinez. So there was more bumping and grinding going on earlier in the race too, but. Being somebody who is used to taking a pole, dropping off, and getting dropped by the lead crew, I understand that happens at the front of these races.
Yeah.
It does, but there's very much, especially through a crit racing season. And I remember this in the Midwest too. You would get guys that just end up not liking each other because let's say we had 8 crit races that year. 3 or 4 of them guys bump and grind enough. There's enough elbows. There's always like these crit rivalries where it's like a guy does not like another guy. Apparently Williams and this Martinez guy have gone back and forth before because Martinez realizes I have to get into the Legion train if I want a result in these races.
Correct.
he was a few times, and this is coming from Justin, so understand this is a one point of view, that he's forcing his way into that line, but obviously crossing the line. So in this video, they're coming around this left-hand turn. How Justin Williams keeps the bike upright is beyond me. But Martinez puts an elbow directly into him. I mean, like, this isn't Sagan with his little head lean. This is, he puts an elbow right into his ribs.
He dive bombed a corner to try to get into the thing.
Yeah. There's not space there.
Right.
He was creating space. Let's be honest, there's really not rules in cycling. We can't say it's illegal. I mean,
Corey Williams
there's
said
unsaid
that
rules.
he got hit by him, he unclipped, he rattled, but was able to recover.
Yeah. Also, the fact that Justin even saved his front wheels is amazing.
Yeah.
Wait, my bad. Did he hit Corey? I think he hit Corey.
He hit Corey.
My bad, Corey, not Justin.
And then he hadn't gotten in front of Corey, but he was next to Corey, and Corey closed him out. What does that mean?
There's not a video of that, but yes, he did.
Yeah. So there was a curb on the right side of the course, and Corey, Martinez was between the curb and Corey rode right to the curb so that Martinez had to grab brakes so that he didn't crash out.
So
Martinez was pissed.
From the storyline, it sounds like Martinez goes into Corey first. Now, I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure Martinez puts a bow into Corey. Corey doesn't like that, closes him out. So there's back and forth. I mean, we're talking about racing at 35 miles an hour with your adrenaline going.
Or 40 at this point.
40. This stuff happens. I am not the moral authority on crit racing. I understand it is a different planet. This is brutal racing.
So after the race finishes, Legion finishes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, dominate.
And Martinez,
not happy,
walks up to the Legion area and basically is like, "Where's Corey? I want to fight."
Yeah, literally was telling people, "I want to fight." So this is the only video we have is post this. So you kind of have to go off of he said, she said until this point. But it sounds like Martinez was like, where's Corey and Justin? I want to fight right now.
So what happens is Martinez comes up to Corey Williams, gets in his face. Justin Williams, his brother, comes running behind him, goes to push Martinez back in the chest. Martinez knocks his arms away, and they both throw punches at each other.
So unfortunately, when you look at the video, Justin definitely throws the first punch. It was Justin 100%. As much as I love Legion, Justin made a mistake.
Justin got relegated. So did Martinez get relegated.
Yeah. I don't think Corey did.
Corey did not.
Which I agree with that, because Corey, at least from the video I saw, never touched Martinez. He was getting berated by Martinez, and there were guys holding Corey back, but they forgot to hold Justin back, and Justin just jumps in there and throws the fist. But
anyway, there was some mess. It kind of went down. And
so who won the fight, though? Come on.
It's hard to say.
Corey wants want to know.
Is it bad that as an American sport? So I'm reading all the comments. I'm even talking with David and Dustin today, and I know that Dave and Dustin were not a fan of it, and I get that. And I don't want any kid watching that and thinking that that's okay to do in any way. Okay. And I hope that Justin cools down and puts out something where he's like, "Hey guys, my bad." We don't need to cancel anybody here or say, I keep on seeing these posts on the death of American crit racing. I'm like, come on. Look, it's crit racing. This is this happens on a football field every single week.
It's flat. Yeah. There's big, strong dudes.
We're talking testosterone.
Lots of testosterone pumping through the body, and they're going to get heated.
This is not a time trial or a climbing race where it's this is where it's if climbers fight, it's more of a comedy reel. These are big, strong dudes, and this happens in sports like this. Yeah. So is it good? No. But I mean,
okay. But so here's the thing:
is this that bad?
Well, so Legion has been so good for the last couple years that people are the other teams are getting frustrated and trying different tactics. Yep. Now, are they trying different tactics? Maybe is Legion so good because they do bully the peloton?
Oh, they do.
Up the front?
I've talked to guys who've been in races with them. They do.
Are they doing unsafe things, or are
They're doing stuff that Martinez just did. Yeah. They do. I mean, they have a guy on their team that literally his job is this. He will move guys around.
It's like their enforcer, huh?
Yeah. No, and
they're goons.
And he's always finishing way back. But I mean, they have goons. They absolutely do. Well, I mean, think about I used to play soccer. There were plenty of guys who their skill set isn't exactly midfield, but they goon it up pretty good. And you need those guys on your
but people,
it's a physical sport.
Other teams got to be desperate enough that they're trying different things to try to beat Legion, and those different things all end up being unsafe.
Yeah.
Now, is that Martinez's fault or is it Legion's fault? I don't know.
Also, okay,
it's both.
We talk about, hey man, people aren't watching cycling. We need to make cycling more exciting.
No, they're not.
But then here's the thing: is once something like this happens, that let's be honest, this is American sport, right? Why do we watch football? Think about Europe. Europe watches soccer. Okay, anybody who's like, oh, this would never happen in European cycling. Well, you know what? On soccer fields, guys act like they just got massacred by getting tapped on the shin too. Yeah. That's not American sport. Here, if a guy on a football field does that, we would crucify him, and that guy's never playing football again. It's a different sports culture.
However, soccer is the most popular sport in the entire world.
And being somebody who used to love soccer and I love it, I can't stand it anymore.
I know,
I hate it.
But
and there's a reason. And there's a reason it'll never be popular in America is because of that culture around soccer. Yeah. So yes, European cycling is different than American cycling. But if we want to claim something, crit racing's pretty cool. Let's not. I hated watching friends of mine even saying like, this is the death of American cycling. Like, this might not be the death of American cycling. That video just got really popular on social media. Is that good? Like, do we want to be known as like, man, there are fist fights in the parking lot after every crit race? No, but it showed something. It showed that other teams care about beating Legion, and Legion's making a big impact. So I don't think those are bad. So personally,
Thomas,
do I want Justin fighting after race? No, but I think this is good to see. There's this much passion around it.
Thomas Craven, he is the Best Buddies team director. So he is the director for Martinez, who made the dive bomb. He had a great quote. This is what he said. He said, "This isn't what we signed up for. We're not gladiators. We're not there to bleed. We're there to show our athletic prowess and win the race. Yeah, we get beat. I mean, heck yeah, Ty Magner's a great sprinter. So is Alfredo Rodriguez. So is Mike. And in the right circumstances, Corey and Justin. That should be the show, not who has the most aggressive and dangerous riding before the finish."
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Well, but also think about, what are we talking the most about in the Tour this year from a sprinter's perspective? Groenewegen versus Jakobsen, right? That was the big story this year. Yeah. We weren't talking about
that. Story's over though, because I think Groenewegen's out.
But I'm saying the first week of sprinter races. I think he did. But I mean, when we're talking about the big sprinter stories leading in, it's will Cav be there, and do Jakobsen and Groenewegen like each other anymore? Yeah. So let's be honest, those are the stories that drive sport, not four really classy sprinters that like each other were racing and they shook hands after and it was a great race. Yeah. This is sports. This is not, yes, should it be that way? Absolutely. Right. Would I hope that my kid or myself would always behave that way? Yes, but that doesn't make news. So this is not the death of American crit racing. This is just a result of probably a lot of bubbling up tension that's been going on. And also, at least from the friends I know comment on this, not all of them, but like Dustin's opinion, I definitely respect this because he's actually been in races with Legion before. But I have a lot of friends that are like me and they have opinions on it. I'm like, dude, I've never been in a sprint at that speed, bumping elbows with a guy like Justin Williams. That is just not the rider I am. My opinion doesn't matter that much.
It's not something you practice.
No. And it's not something that I've experienced, and also not something I'd really like. Let's be honest, my skill set's never going to get me into the last 10 in a race like this. So there's only a few people that can understand, okay, was this crossing line, or is this just what happens when you're going 40 miles an hour?
Groenewegen's not out. He's still in the race.
Gotcha. Well,
there's my pick for Sean.
You can kind of hope that it sheds some light on it. You kind of hope that you see like a good outcome from this story. And if there is a problem, and if Legion is being a bit of a bully in there, or they're doing some stuff that's a little, substandard, maybe that can get somewhat corrected so there can be a little bit more parity in the race scene. I mean, everybody loves seeing a good hero, a good champion, and that's great and all, but you want to, at some point in time, you want to see that person be, contested
humbled.
for exactly. So
humbled in some way.
Legion also has done more for crit racing and bike racing in America than any other team has combined for the last couple of years.
This is also why I hated the death of crit racing commentary, because I'm like, no, Legion has done too much to just all of a sudden throw it all away in one moment, and people say I'm not following this anymore. I'm not going to these races because they're dangerous and they're just like thugs fighting, which I hated those terms being thrown around, because I'm like, look, you loved what Legion was doing for years, and it's aggressive racing. That's what's exciting about it. And we get one moment that's not too pretty looking and is bad, but that does not mean throw it all away and say that they're bad for the sport. They are great for the sport, and they're great for the sport because now we got another team that's doing everything to beat them.
Yeah.
Which means if people are that passionately hating you and going after you at this level of sport, you're doing something right. Like, let's be honest, Lance Armstrong was pretty good in this sport because people hated him and wanted to beat him badly.
I just don't want to see people romanticizing how Legion rides if they are riding a little unsavory, because then that's just going to be...
Because I don't want to deal with that in local racing.
Because there's going to be people that are going to look at that and say, oh, if they're doing it, I'm going to do it. And that's how you win races. Oh, yeah, I'm going to start taking people out. Next thing you know, people are going to get dropped like...
Well, and hopefully they come out and maybe talk about like, hey, we need to change some things internally. We realize we're doing this or that. Or maybe it's not as bad as the other teams are saying. They're just this fast, and it's, maybe it could be too that they're responding to a lot of what's going on in there too.
Yeah.
I think a lot of daggers are being thrown at them right now. So we'll see. We'll see how they respond.
Well, they say bad press is still good press, so we'll see how this...
That's the phrase I want to use, but I know people always throw that back where it's like, but is this the press you want? I'm like, well, no, but you know what?
Something's better than nothing.
It made the front page of
bike
Velo
racing
News.
needs something. It needs, I mean...
With the tour going on.
Polite racing has not worked for bike racing.
But crit racing is just a different beast.
I know. That's why I hated the people who were, I mean, the comments of people like, this wouldn't happen in Europe. I'm like, yeah, because Europe doesn't have the crit racing scene that we have here. Like, that's...
Go do a kermesse race in Belgium and see what it's like.
That's true. But I'm saying that
it's a
like,
70-mile race that's like that.
That's like that for 70 miles. Well, I have not claimed that the Belgians are not tough, because also you take a Justin or Corey Williams, yes, they're good riders, but you force me to Paris-Roubaix, it's not, we're not doing too well in that race.
Awesome. Let's move on to the tour, guys.
Speaking of Belgians. A race that they do really well in.
So, pretty crazy stuff that's been happening with the tour. Amazing that Michael Matthews finally got his win, and it wasn't in a sprint stage. It was an uphill finish where he drug back.
Can climb.
He drug back the leader who looked like he had it. Who was leading? Bettiol.
Yes.
Bettiol was leading. Yeah, and he ended up beating him by like 15 seconds. He pulled past him, and
Bettiol's really having a good tour. He's been at that. I mean, he hasn't had that result yet, but he's been very much involved in a lot of the breakaway type stages.
And Thibaut Pinot was up there too. He was in that break on stage 14. Stage 15 ended up being another sprint stage, but the big story from stage 15 was the disaster day that Jumbo Visma had.
Oh, Jumbo.
So Roglic decided at the beginning of the stage. I don't know who decided, but he withdrew. So Roglic is out. He's going to focus on other goals for the rest of the year. And
Switching
then
over to mountain biking.
maybe.
Was he really that hurt? I mean, he looked like he was doing some good service. I mean, he could have just hung out and...
It makes me wonder.
Gruppetto back, or I don't know.
Maybe Jumbo Visma's like, hey, let's get Roglic to win the Vuelta. Is that what's coming up?
Well, who cares about the Vuelta when you've got the leader in the Tour de France?
I don't know.
I completely agree that I think that this is them hoping Vingegaard can do this now and saying, okay, we want the Vuelta too. Let's pull Roglic now and get him healthy. I think that's the move. Is it a smart move? No, because I don't think Vingegaard has it yet for sure. I mean, he still has
bird in the hand is better than two in the bush. You got to play the
yep.
cards all the way to the end, unless you know for sure.
Well,
you've
got
it.
You never know for sure with a guy like Pogacar right there.
Yeah,
There's
but if
no
Vingegaard
way.
goes up by like 15 or 20 minutes, I mean, that's not going to happen. But just if you were just like light years beyond that,
if he's got a 7 or 8 minute lead, sure. Roglic
what's
can
his lead right now?
2.5
minutes and change.
2:20.
Yeah.
That is one day where Pogacar's got magical legs and Vingegaard doesn't respond. He's got the tour back.
A mechanical or a crash or something. Well, that almost happened yesterday.
Maybe Roglic was more injured than he let on.
But he wasn't looking like it.
And he had a rest day coming up.
Did they run out of that Slovenian water?
Yeah, but the rest days can be tricky because this is why you see guys able to work through these is once the body locks into that repetitive effort, it's going to be good. The rest days are dangerous sometimes. I mean, historically, look at the tour. A lot of guys drop out on rest days because that body gets that second to be like, okay, time to recover.
Yeah.
And there's damage assessment at that point. And maybe Roglic woke up and he was like, I am dead to the world right now. Like, this is not good.
That's possible. And then
I did dislocate his shoulder. I mean, I'm sitting here concerned. I was like, man, I got a little bruise on my hands. Kind of tough for me to
he
grip
dislocated
things.
his shoulder.
Was it a
shoulder.
full dislocation or subluxation?
Probably a subluxation.
They both hurt.
It was probably a subluxation.
Not nearly as bad as a
There's
full.
no way it was a full because he'd have rotator cuff tears and he would not be able to operate the period.
I
Yeah.
had that happen one time, and it wasn't pleasant, but I got back on the bike and I finished it, and I was
He had a subluxation. Yeah.
sore for about a week, and then it just kind of worked itself out.
I mean, I did have that happen once, and I swam the next day. It wasn't the prettiest swim in the world, but I mean, it sucks. But I could not imagine racing the Tour after that. There's a difference between that and just popping in for a recovery.
Full
ride.
dislocation 4 years later, I'm still crying every day.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different this is why whenever people talk too about like Hamilton's like clavicle breaks, and they're like, man, I had a compound clavicle break. I couldn't imagine him do. I was like, it's not like he had his bone sticking out of his arm.
Yeah.
He had
it broke in 3 pieces.
Yeah.
But he still finished the stage and finished the tour.
And took a lot of tramadol.
Probably took a lot of tramadol.
When I say a lot, like Peyton Manning would shudder at how much tramadol he took into his system, I'm sure.
Regardless, back on that stage, Roglic doesn't start, and then the rest of the day just went crap for Jumbo Visma. For whatever reason, Wout got in the break again.
Yeah.
And
we were to turn the TV on and see him in the break again. I'm like, how
in
does
the
he
break.
always
He's
get
like,
in the
what,
break?
what is he doing? But the team called him back, like, you don't need to be in the break. You need to come back. And as he's coming back, what happens? Vingegaard crashes. There's another protest in the road.
Yep.
Another protest in the road. They pull it off, but there was enough like
Commotion and
commotion.
there's like an accordion effect of things, and it's just like
And Vingegaard and what's his
Didn't
name?
they have the smoke bombs in the street again too?
They
in the
did.
Protest? That's the thing that they need to. Like, come on, like, what are you trying to hurt people? Like,
yeah, they're trying to.
you protested something and now somebody got hurt. You're like,
Yeah.
congratulations! Like, what'd you do?
So
they glued themselves to the road.
They
too.
glued
They're
themselves to
close.
the road.
Did anybody else hear I loved the logic behind this. Was somebody was like protesting at a bike race for global change on fuel use is like protesting meat usage at a vegan market. Like it's like let's harm cyclists.
We get it, you guys. Get out of the road.
It was like this is why we're doing this right now. We're trying to promote bike riding right now.
Yeah.
What is the point?
Right.
Go do this at a NASCAR race. At that, I'd be like, that makes sense. Also very risky. Nobody laying on a NASCAR track. Those cars are not going to stop for you. But it just made no sense. It was just watch. I'm like, this
is the biggest like sporting event watched in the world.
Go do it on a soccer field then. I don't know. Like this is please just don't hurt the cyclist. We wait all year for this, and I don't want the yellow jersey breaking his clavicle because somebody wanted to say something.
Well, he didn't, but it was close.
But yeah, so him and Kreuzwick tangled up. Kreuzwick goes down.
Kreuzwick has gone down a couple times this tour, hasn't he?
But so he broke something and got in the ambulance. His tour was over, and that's too bad because he was like
Right there with
almost
Sepp. He's basically Sepp.
He was the guy before Sepp.
Yeah.
For Vingegaard.
So Vingegaard has basically lost 2 and 3. Let's say Sepp is barely won. Sepp's like barely won.
Yeah.
He lost 2 and 3.
He lost 2 and 3. So
and in the mountains too. This is not like he lost.
There's 3 difficult stages coming.
So he's
up.
basically just got what Tiege Benoot right now and
Correct.
Sepp.
And Tiege Benoot went down too.
Oh, he did.
Also
I
crashed.
didn't see that part. No Croatia go down. I didn't know Benoot. Oh,
so there were lots of crashes.
UAE's getting attacked by COVID. Jumbo-Visma is getting attacked by protesters. This is
So Vingegaard lost 2 teammates. Pogacar lost 2 teammates. So it should be interesting to kind of see what happens.
Maybe it's not such a bad thing. We're just gonna have these two just going one-on-one. It's gonna be Vingegaard versus Pogacar versus G, who's pulling a Wiggins and is just gonna slowly time trial and move his way up. And
G's only 20 seconds behind Pogacar.
G is within striking range. But also, I
he
just don't think the
can't.
way that he's riding, he's going to be able to put time into these guys. Like, it's just...
Unless
he's riding to respond.
Yes.
But I think riding to respond, he's going to ride himself onto the podium is what he's going to do.
That would be cool. I would really like to see that. So
Bardet's in 4th right now.
Bardet is in 4th. Look who's 6th.
Too bad he's French. He's never gonna make
Quintana
it.
has moved up to 6th.
I will hot take right now. Quintana will beat Bardet in this tour.
No.
Yes. Adam Yates slipping into 5th, still right there.
Pidcock's still
Pidcock
in
in the
it.
top 10.
He's in 9th. That was
Enrique
unexpected.
Mas. Enrique Mas, in my book, still having a good race. He's still in position to respond. It's going to be an interesting last week. That is for sure.
It should be fun.
So yesterday's stage, Did you guys like that finish? Did you guys like Wout kind of getting pinched out a little bit?
He got pinched a little bit. It makes me wonder if he hadn't gone on the break, he probably would have been fresh enough to just ride away from these guys.
Maybe.
And he didn't. And they caught. It's just crazy. It just makes you.
Who wins most aggressive of the tour in our vote? I mean, regardless of what the tour vote is, who's the most aggressive rider? Is it Court? Is it Magnus? Or is it Wout?
Court is out.
No, yeah,
he got COVID.
Yeah.
Oh, was he? I was reading through an article right now. Did he just have to pull out because of COVID?
Yes.
That is the
yesterday's
worst
stage, yeah.
loss. That's
Yeah.
a shame.
He was.
Let's go prior to stage 15. Who's the most aggressive between
Magnus.
Wout? I think Magnus was more aggressive. Yeah. I mean, he was in the break at almost every day there was a break.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And was it set the record for the 11
Yep.
first 11
First
K1
11
points?
K1 points.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he had all of those.
Yep.
I mean, well, it's kind of tough to argue.
I mean,
against,
Wout
though,
was the
but
better all-round rider, but when it just
Yeah.
comes to aggression and getting into moves, Court was one of the
I'd like
best
to see that from
performances.
from Education
Man,
First.
that
That's a
sounds
good
like
one.
He's out. That's
So, how did you guys like the fact that Phillipsen won and finally won?
Yeah.
And
I was happy for him to win. Finally, I mean, he's won lots
kind
of
of in the
stages
shadow of,
in
unfortunately,
the Giro,
for
but he
him, it's
hasn't
like-
won anything in the Tour yet.
Yeah,
So this is his first ever win in the Tour.
And nobody was really talking about him that much going into the tour. There were just other sprinter storylines.
Yes.
But you're
what
like, man,
about
this
going
guy's
back
still
to the
great.
stage where Wout went off the front, went nuts, and then
Yes.
won, and like
Yeah.
20 or 30 or minute or whatever later,
He thought he won. Yeah,
thought he
Phil
won.
said,
He
"Well, I thought
posted
he won."
up. I just is that redemption right there?
It is.
Also, for me with that, how did he not know Wout was? I mean, I get
Well,
it that there's like
he
a
didn't
lot
have a
going
radio.
on.
Yeah.
Oh, he didn't have a radio.
Is that what he said?
I believe that's what I heard.
Did his radio quit working
Or
so-
something along those lines.
something.
Yeah, he didn't get the update
He
that Wout
didn't
was.
know.
Yeah.
That's.
Wout wasn't that far out there. Could he look up and be like, pretty sure this guy up there?
But in those last 2 minutes,
Yeah,
you're
not-
like
you're looking at
bumping
the
like
wheels in
Corey
front of
and
you. Yeah, that's true.
Rodriguez.
That's true. Yeah.
So you're not paying attention.
You're not
to what's
exactly
going
looking
on
up the
there.
road at that point. You're just trying to not die.
I didn't actually get to see the finish yesterday. I just saw like replays. Well, I didn't get to see him. I didn't get to see Phillips. And what was his celebration? Did he throw the hands up this
No,
time, or was
no.
it very muted and subdued?
Very muted.
Okay.
Like it was a bike throw. It was three guys throwing the bike.
Yeah.
And so he just barely won by half a wheel.
Was it one of those things where he just didn't know for sure? And
No,
wasn't,
he knew, but he coasted to a stop and then like burst into tears with his teammates.
Okay.
So, but it wasn't like there was no posting up. There was no opportunity to post up. He wasn't that
Okay.
far ahead. So,
Just hate for him to have that happen again or something along those lines. And
Just
just
get
like
clipped at the line. Yeah.
he's not going to hear the end of that from his buddies for quite some time. But
so exciting.
So what do we have coming up tomorrow?
So tomorrow
Rest stage today.
is a hilly stage with 2 Cat 1 climbs, but it finishes on the flat.
Looks like a day for a breakaway.
Yeah. Thursday. Wait, what day is today? No, Wednesday.
Looks like we got the finish
It's-
on the top of a Category 1 climb.
It finishes, but there's a flat section after you get to the top. But there's
I think that's just it actually panning out. It looks like the finish line is at the top.
but
Am I
there's
wrong there?
3 Cat 1 climbs
A lot of climbing.
on Wednesday, and then and it finishes on the Hatakam
On the Hotakam, yes.
on Thursday.
They're bringing back the Hotakam. Nice.
So I think the next 3 days, 1 hilly stage, 2 mountain stages.
And the Col de Abisk is before that. I do remember that. That's a very
Yes.
steep climb. That might be. There are a couple stages coming up here where you might see. So between those 2 climbing stages, you're going to see somebody in that top 10 get away on an earlier
Well,
climb. 'cause
they
it's-
have to. So there's
Yeah.
three. There's
There's
3
gonna be a lot
mountain
of guys
stages coming
attacking.
up, and then there's a flat stage, and then the time trial, and then Paris.
Yep.
So you've got these next 3 days.
There's going to be
is it.
Bardet, Quintana, or Enrique Mas. Those 3 names, I think, are going to be maybe Gadou. I'm not sure if Gadou has legs anymore.
However,
One of those 3 is going to try to get an early move. Probably Quintana.
the 3 of us have no say in really predicting things because Matt is crushing us all in the fantasy picks, and Matt is not here to tell us how these
how
stages
much
are
he's
gonna
killing
go.
us right now in these
He's
things.
smoking us all. So
I mean, yeah. Oh, and this is also just recapping our Alpe d'Huez on the spot. I mean, I had some time to reflect on that. Good on Chris Froome. I know the guy's making a big paycheck this year, but this man has been written entirely off, and just to even be in the conversation there at any stage was so awesome to see.
yes, fantastic for Chris Froome, but also
Yeah.
the Peloton let him go.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we know that. Of course, if they were together, he's not out climbing any of them. But he chose the right day. And he
chose
was like,
the right
He's
day.
like, I'm going to do one thing in this tour. I'm going to do one thing. And his one thing was third place on a stage,
Third
which
place
good for
on the
Chris.
Alp,
Okay.
which is fantastic.
But also, wow, I mean, it's funny to watch the youngest British guy coming now into the limelight as potentially a GC contender in Pidcock.
He's 22,
And then
so
watching
still young.
Froome kind of go off into the sunset with
Yes.
with an okay effort on a day. It's funny to watch the very new. It's like this shifting of the guard in one breakaway. But
Right.
I love Pidcock's interview after he's like, "Yeah, it was great beating Chris Froome." Like he just like specifically said that. He's like,
But he also said, he was super happy for him that
Yeah.
he was there. He's like, he's a legend. He's
Yeah.
Froome. So
I think
of
that's
course,
awesome.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that was cool that he respected
"That's cool."
that
I mean,
as well.
beating your idols is a pretty cool thing.
Should he retire?
Yes, he should. But
I know we keep saying he's getting paid. I
but he's
get it, yada,
getting
yada,
paid.
yada. But
It's a tough sport just to get paid. Like this is different than being
he's getting
like
paid like $5 million a year.
yeah.
So,
I mean, I guess you can't be like. I don't want to say that I'm embarrassed for him because, like,
everybody knows he's done.
yeah,
yeah.
And then his wreck just made it worse.
Yeah.
He got his contract before the crash.
yeah.
So you play out the contract and you get your money
Yeah.
and then you roll off into the sunset and race gravel. So
He's
not gonna-
he's in a little bit better shape than he was last year. Is there a chance with one more year of building? Does he even have a small window to maybe lead them at the Vuelta? Let's say he's liked the Vuelta in the past. He's done well in the Vuelta.
Just doesn't seem like he has his normal pop. I mean,
Yeah, I mean the pop is definitely not there.
his pop and his swagger and all the other little intangibles that he had for all those years that he was winning
Yeah.
tours, it just doesn't seem like it's there. And he's just there to
Yeah.
collect a paycheck. And I get it. If you're getting paid, then
Yeah.
go get that money.
And I mean, it definitely doesn't have the same feel as when Lance came back in 2009
Okay.
and gave it a shot. It
But-
doesn't have that same feel.
Let's say though that his contract plays out, it's done.
Yeah.
Do you think another team signs him, and do you think he signs another contract to come back and ride for a few more years?
I actually think another team would sign him.
You
I
do?
think. If Mark
Just for the
Cavendish can
exposure?
pick up, if Mark Cavendish can pick up a contract,
And what's harder, to be a GC guy, kind of,
or a sprinter?
or a sprinter at your
I'll actually take
advanced age of late
no
30s?
lie. I'll actually take the sprinter. The only reason I say that is, as a sprinter over years, you probably accumulate some pretty scary crashes over time.
Yeah.
I think that just the mental aspect of still being engaged at the age of 40 at that level, the amount of quick twitch that takes, and that's tough. I think it makes more sense to say like, oh, the GC because there's so much work that's involved in that. But like, if you've been a GC rider for a long time, your aerobic system can still stay very intact as you age.
Yeah.
And there's guys in triathlon proving this. I mean, Jan Frodeno is still very competitive and strong into his 40s. You're seeing a lot of guys at that level. GC to me is a little bit more like that. It's still that long duration engine. How long can you last over 3 weeks? The sprint, I mean, if, back when we're looking at like Greipel as he got older, like that's amazing. Like the fact that guy's still, because usually sprinters come in and they fizz out quick.
Right.
This is why when you look at generations, you can really only remember 2 or 3 sprinters because it's the guys that lasted past 2 years.
Right.
I mean, think of like a Kittle.
Right.
Come in, boom, strong, gone right after that. I mean,
he was viable for about 3 years.
yeah.
I mean, he had a mental health
Ewan,
breakage.
unfortunately too. I mean,
That's another
as much
story
as I
right
love-
there.
Is he fizzling out? I mean, this is.
I think he's probably going to
He
be
was 2 years. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of it's almost like I'd compare it to an NFL running back.
Yeah.
I
3 year average,
compare the two. I think the
2.5 years.
GC guy
Yeah.
would be like a QB. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, Brady can make it into his 40s, cool. I'd be way more impressed if there's a 41-year-old running back. You're like, how is this guy still taking these hits? This is amazing.
So
Like James Harrison at middle linebacker. What was he, like 40? That's
Yeah.
incredible. Yeah.
So Lotto Sudal, the team that Caleb Ewan rides for, is on the brink of losing their world tour.
they're terrible.
They're about
right
to get
now.
relegated.
Yeah,
They are awful.
And
That-
Alpecin Phoenix is about to move up to World Tour.
Yeah, and if that ends up happening, Caleb Ewing has the right to dissolve his contract and sign somewhere else. That would be the death of that team, don't you think?
Yes, it
Yes.
would.
Well, because Gilbert's going to retire, right? Isn't Gilbert gone?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean that's
Yeah.
I think if Philippe Gilbert's holding your team together at this point, you're like, yeah, we're done
Yeah.
because this guy's got like 1 year left.
What are the odds of that happening, and where do you think Caleb signs?
Do they sign Chris Froome? do they say let's go all in on Chris Froome
No.
and keep our world tour status?
Probably not.
Who do we need? Chris. Has anybody called Chris yet?
Is there a team out there that's like in dire need of a sprinter right now? Because I think that Caleb maybe still has something left in him, but
I mean, EF.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
EF's got Bedial, but I mean, do they have just like a pure spread, like a guy who's gonna? No, I mean, they don't really have anybody who can go with Phillipson, Jakobsen, Groenewegen.
And do you need a sprinter on your team? I mean, probably not.
If you're them, you do, because you got to win something, and you're not winning. You're not winning anything else.
How old is Caleb? Isn't he just like mid-20s?
He's young. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good question. Actually, I bet Caleb's a little older than we think. He's been around just long enough to probably be like 27, 28, I bet.
Gotcha. That would suck for that team.
Would you sign Caleb Ewan or Mark Cavendish if you're a team right now and you're looking for a sprinter?
Oh, geez. That's actually a really good question.
Yeah.
You guys all know how I feel about Mark Cavendish, but he's got the name, and everybody's going to have their eyes on your team. 28.
Nice.
Everybody's going to be looking at Cav to see what he's going to be able to accomplish, and if he's still winning bike races, I mean, that proof's in the pudding. If you're winning, and we can see the tour.
He's won more recently than Caleb hasn't he?
So that could potentially be 2 free agents right there.
Yep.
So I'm curious to see who's going to land said cyclist if Caleb ends up getting
out of his contract.
Yeah, getting out of his contract.
Regardless, I don't think either of those guys are going to be on the level of Jakobsen or Groenewegen over the next year. I think we got about a 2-year window of Jakobsen and Groenewegen dominating.
Yeah.
Groenewegen's older than Jakobsen, so Jakobsen might have a little bigger window, but I still think those two are the guys.
Mm-hmm.
They're the dudes for the next 2 years, and then there will be somebody else who comes in.
I also read another article, or started to get a little bit busy. They're saying that we're looking at the death of the specialist. That you're going to have more of these all around MVPs and these Wout van Aerts.
Because let's be honest, Wout in these head up sprints, I'm not going to put one of those guys above Wout right now.
Do you want to sign a sprinter who can be there for the sprint stages, or sign a Wout van Aert that can do more than just that and win the green jersey?
Well,
There's not that many Wouts.
I would sign
correct,
Wout.
but you've got
I'd sign Wout.
Michael Matthews, you've got Vanderpool. I mean, there's a few of them. And those names are starting to become more prevalent.
Well, and this is, I think, what's going to happen. Who was
Peter Sagan was another one of those guys too.
I think John Hoffman was making a good point to me where he was talking about how what these teams are going to do now is try to go off Jumbo-Visma's model, where actually you're looking at look at the younger mountain bikers, the younger cyclocross kids.
Racers,
you're looking at a Pidcock, you're looking at a Wout, you're looking at an MVP. Wout and MVP were obvious choice. I mean, those are like any idiot could have looked at those guys.
Exceptional talents.
Yeah, you're like, we'll take one of them. But like those younger cyclocross kids coming through, it's already shown that, wow, these kids come in skilled and ready to go.
Yep.
Or if you find a Pidcock who comes from mountain biking, I mean, that even goes as far back as Cadell Evans, where it's elite mountain bikers jumping into the sport. So I think you're going to find them more active in the free agency market with grabbing those younger guys coming off of, their seasons through mountain biking or cyclocross than these teams clamoring to grab like a Mark Cavendish or somebody like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But, and also that's just because I don't think track cycling has as much of a pull right now as cyclocross does for the young communities. So if track cycling
there's not that many velodromes out there.
You're right. Nope. Yeah, because the British model for the Sky dominance was, let's take a young track cycling team and turn this into the best tour team ever, and that's basically what they did.
Yeah,
I don't think you can do that right now, just because the barrier to entry into velodromes, track cycling is a little bit more niche. You can find a lot more, and I know I always use this example is, countries where the poor kids do a sport usually are pretty darn good at that sport.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're finding a bunch of poor kids on mountain bikes, that's the country I'm going to. Vingegaard was a poor guy on a fisher boat who had a mountain bike. That's the type of guy that's going to come in and start rocking the sport, is the guys who have some off-road experience. They come in a little bit more humble, not maybe in these programs where you're noticing them.
It's just amazing to see what they can do on a bike in such
it's incredible.
Short period of time-ish, you know what I mean? It's just,
well, even from a personal example, Kit, the kids that he helps coach for mountain biking in Colorado.
Yeah.
These kids, the numbers, they don't care about the numbers at all though, but like Kit knows their numbers and is telling me, he's like, dude, these kids are coming out with like FTPs in the mid-5s and they're like 17 years old.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. No, he has one kid on his team where he tells me, he's like, I have to convince him that he should still do mountain biking because he has no idea how good he is. Like has no idea. Like he's getting pro attention already. He's going to sign a contract when he's 18, but like, when you're, it's because I'm sure Wout was probably the same way with that. Wout was just like, I just like riding my bike really fast. I'm really good at this. And like you just have to convince.
He was full blown cyclocross because that's everything in Belgium.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I mean, if in this country, just going back to America, if we can build two things, if we can make crit cool for high school kids and make mountain biking cool again, we will be competitive at that next
biking
level.
is cool again.
Well, wasn't Sepp? Sepp was mountain biking, wasn't he? And so was Quinn.
I believe so.
I think Quinn was.
They all grew up in the Durango
mountain biking community. Yeah. I mean, that's where you're going to find the talent. So that's actually what I think these teams are going to do is to build these future tour dominant teams. They're looking at young kids that come from that. Is what they're doing. They're not looking at Mark Cavendish and Caleb Ewan. They don't care. Yeah. They're grabbing them for like a year to just like get a sponsor. And then they're like, okay, if we're going to build a team, we're not, I mean, like if, let's say EF grabs Caleb Ewan, they're not going to all of a sudden be like, oh, we need to build a lead out train for Caleb Ewan. No, what they're going to be is, Caleb, go ahead and like fit into the quick step like train. We're going to build a team that can compete in a GC at some point because we really don't care about you. So,
well, there's not that many pure sprint stages, so you're not seeing a lot of these guys even being able to mix it up.
And you'd have to build a whole team off a sprint train, and that's not easy to find.
No, and that's going to kind of screw up your whole GC aspirations. So, and then get the likes of all the guys that we just listed that are not specialists that can kind of just roll with whatever and win any kind of a stage.
Yeah.
I mean, does it make sense for the tour to just keep going that direction and have less of those pure sprint stages?
I'd rather they have less of them personally.
Yeah, those are kind of boring stages to watch because it's
the movie day stages with a sprint at the end.
Yeah.
What I think would be cool is if they actually, I mean, I know this is wild and probably would never happen, but if they even had a shorter stage, it's like kind of a criterium type race. It'd be fun to watch. You could get the sprinters that actually, I mean, the problem with that is you're adding another wildly dangerous stage in there. But, you know,
the flat stage.
The tour throws cobbles in at this point, so they don't care about the danger.
The easy flat stage between the 3 mountain stages and the final time trial is still 188 kilometers.
Jeez.
But also, they're moving. So I looked at some analysis of that. The GC guys, if there's not big attacks going on, they're sitting in. And like, I think I saw a stage once where like Quintana averaged like 160 watts and averaged like 27 miles an hour.
Yeah, you're just sitting behind the group.
Yeah, and they got the caravan out in front that's like kind of like
it's
the cars
more
out in front,
effort
you
to
drag
walk
it.
to the bathroom than it is to ride that. So
yeah, exactly. And I mean, also you got like if God forbid you have a tailwind going one direction, the peloton's moving at like 50 kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
At that point, it's just like, hey, stay focused enough to not tap the wheel in front of you and just soft spin this day.
Try not to fall asleep.
Yeah, wait till you get to the 1K, pull off the side of the road and jog it in, basically.
All right, let's look forward. We've got the Pyrenees coming up.
Yep.
That is starting
tomorrow, Tuesday, and Wednesday and Thursday. 3 days in the Pyrenees.
You guys got any hot takes?
Pogacar gets all the time back.
You think so?
Yep.
You think he drops him at some point? He drops Vingegaard at some point.
I think Vingegaard cracks, and Vingegaard will actually lose time to, I'll say he's going to lose time to G, Pogacar, just G and Pogacar. Yeah.
Now, there's some talks
Only
of
those two.
Some teams kind of coming together, working together a little bit, but it's not with Pogacar necessarily. It's just to go back and get Jumbo-Visma now.
Yeah.
Do you guys still think that there's a play there where some teams are going to start to come together to maybe try and pick off?
I think everybody's
Pogacar?
Everybody's so tired at this point. I think at this point, it's if they are coming together, it's because they know like crap. Our GC guys are really tired. We need him to have one good stage, but we have to make. If I'm Vingegaard right now and Jumbo-Visma, even though we just lost guys, I'm still pretty confident in Vingegaard's shape.
Yeah.
But I think that the only reason I'm saying Pogacar gets all the time back is because I think Pogacar still has another bullet or two. And I think that Pogacar's best bullet is still way better than everybody else's right now. Like, I mean, he's going to put time into Vingegaard on, I think that stage that has, that's going to end on the Haute-Cam. I think he's targeting the Haute-Cam. He's going to crack Vingegaard. I think he can get about a minute to a minute and a half, and he will get the rest of that time during the time trial.
Interesting.
He's going to put more than a minute into Vingegaard on the time trial.
That much on the time trial, you think?
Pogacar is a strong, like.
Well, I know he's strong.
Well, I'm saying like strong as in like physically watts wise on a flatter time trial. Vingegaard's going to struggle with that. I mean, trying to match that power output.
I bet he won't beat him by more than 20 seconds.
You think Vingegaard's 20 seconds from Pogacar?
Look at
over 40K. I know over 40K.
It's dead flat over 40K.
Dead flat.
No no climbing, over 40K. And
minute 20.
This time
I'll say
trial,
minute 20.
I bet it's 20 seconds.
Minute 20. Let's go 60 seconds further than you, if not more. I'm being conservative at minute 20.
Wow.
It's all about
Vingegaard's a great time trials. Don't get me wrong,
But these time trials at the end of the tour, that's just about what legs you have left. It's not, I mean, it's what you've got left at this
and
point.
Pogacar's already proven that he's got a climb at over 500 watts left in his legs on the last important day.
Yeah.
If Vingegaard still
destroyed Roglic in that time. I mean,
but if
you don't think that's going through, you don't
but
think
if
that's going through Vingegaard's head is he's like, God, I remember Roglic's face. It
But
looked
if
like
he
died.
still has the yellow jersey on that day, I bet that just carries him.
Well, it didn't
And he
carry
drills
Roglic. It destroyed
But that was an
Roglic.
uphill time trial. This one's flat.
Yeah, well, that would favor Vingegaard more. I mean, Vingegaard's like 10 pounds lighter than
Then I
Pogacar.
win 20 seconds.
No, it's going to be a minute 20. It's going to be a minute 20. Pogacar is going to rip people's legs off on
That's
that.
on Friday. We'll see what happens.
Hot take, though, is Wout will win that time trial.
No, that's on Saturday. It's on
Yeah,
Saturday.
Wout will win the time trial.
You think so?
Yeah. What nobody's matching Wout's watts right now. Even Ghana is not going to match that at this point.
I think
Filippo
Ghana's
Ganna.
blown already.
I think
I
Ghana,
don't think he
Is he
has
pretty
legs
spent?
left. I think
Ghana's
he's
looking at that
spent.
time trial. He's like, oh, dear God,
don't
no,
wanna
I
do
don't want
this.
to do this. Yeah, he's like, God,
tired.
please.
Just take a nap.
Does Ghana make it through the mountains to even get there? He's lost a lot of time. I mean, like, he's been in breakers, but he lost a lot of time on the climbs.
So how many cyclists have missed the cutoff? I know Morkov missed the cut.
It's like 10.
I had him on my team.
Did
too.
you really?
Ghana.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, there has
Oh,
been.
I've got it right here. So
There's only been one.
yeah, Michael Morkov.
seriously?
It's
Yeah.
only Markov who has
Oh.
missed the time cut.
He didn't get his blood back in time.
Oh no.
He just missed the time cut.
I wish it would say. I mean, it does say for outside the limit time, but I wish all the other ones would. It says withdraw, and
This
it
is
says
how
didn't start or withdraw.
ridiculously.
I
This is
wish-
how ridiculously fast and strong the Tour de France is. Do you guys remember Markov literally rode the world off his wheel like not that long ago, right? That was not too long ago, and now he's getting dropped out of the Tour. Yeah. These guys are.
Do you think
insane.
Caleb Ewing makes it through?
I don't know.
No.
No,
There's
so he's not going to be
he's gonna
contending in the
go
Champs.
back.
I don't think he'll make it through the Pyrenees.
There is a stage that has an uncategorized climb prior to a Category 1 climb prior to the Haute to come. He does not make it through that stage. No.
No, he's done then, huh?
He will be shelled out the back. Yeah. There's no way he's making it. Look at this. Look at this profile. Yeah, no.
It's the Col de, it's the Abysk HC climb.
He'll lose 20 minutes on that.
The Col de Spandele.
There's another 10 on
That's
that.
a Category 1, and then the Haute-Cam, which
And
is
he'll
an
do what I
HC.
did on my mountain bike on the Haute to come.
So, Lance, what's your hot take then? Who do you think's going to?
Vingegaard pulls it out.
You think? Okay.
The hottest take there is that Vingegaard only loses 20 seconds in that time
Yeah,
trial. You are
Vingegaard
going to be
only
wrong
loses
there.
20 seconds.
You're going to be wrong there.
I think that Pogacar's going to put time into him, but I don't think it's going to be as much time as Evan says it's going to be. I think it's going to be a thriller, and I think it's going to come down to that.
Oh, I think it's going
And
to be seconds.
And I
It's
don't
gonna
think
be
that
seconds.
I don't think that Vingegaard's going to lose by a minute and 20 like you're saying, but I think he's going to lose by just enough to where
to win.
he
So,
well, I don't know. I think that Pogacar gets him in the time trial, but not by. I think that he's going to close the gap down from 220 in the Pyrenees down to something like 15 seconds or 20 seconds, and I think that he's going to get him by just a couple seconds, and I think it's going to be a thriller.
it's going to be a Le Mans versus Hinault-esque type finish here.
This is
which is great. I mean, it's
this
setting
is
up
me
for
being
that.
hopefully optimistic that this is going to happen, and not for nothing. I just want to see a good race.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know why people keep calling, but
I completely. I mean, I would love to see this time trial come down to where like Vingegaard's got to count seconds. Like we're talking.
I mean,
we're talking
if
all
it
out
came
efforts
down
from
to
both
like
of them.
maybe like Pogacar's like 2 seconds down, why couldn't Jumbo Visma get their train together and go to Champs and try and drop?
That would be one heck of a
They just
finish
don't
to
do
the-
that, though. They
But-
don't do
Oh,
that.
they will.
Why wouldn't you?
I guarantee Jumbo Visma. If there is a 5-second gap going into this stage, all
Wout
of a
just
sudden,
says,
they're
"Get on
not-
my wheel."
They're not drinking champagne and on that stage anymore.
I don't know.
They are racing.
I
They're
don't think
racing.
so. I don't think
I
so.
think they would.
I think it's decided on Saturday at the time trial. And just like the last 20 years, the Champs is just ceremonial until you hit the circuit.
Let's
in Paris.
American crit race this thing.
That's
and
what
let's
I'm
have-
talking about,
let's-
Evan.
Wout is going to go out like Martinez and throw a bow into Pogacar, and they're
if you
dead
want to
sprinting.
if you want to get people interested in watching this bike
Yes.
race,
Have that
that
happen.
right there.
I would if Oh my gosh. If Vingegaard is on Wout's wheel and you've got the peloton having to run them down, it's a 5-second race and there's 1 lap left. There has never been a more exciting moment in the Tour than that.
I mean, what if it was even less than 5 seconds? What if it was like 2 seconds? You just need to beat him by 2 seconds and you win yellow.
If I was with an 8 a.m.
do it.
If I was with an 8 a.m. patient and I knew that was happening, I'd be like, "Look, I'm going to show you the Tour de France right now. That's your therapy today. We are watching. We are watching this last 5K together. Okay.
It'll be on Sunday morning though, so you won't have to do that.
Awesome.
But
yeah.
in all seriousness, though, I
Bump it
mean,
back the
we
open
know
water
that
swim.
it's always decided the day before, but what's to keep a scenario like that? I could completely understand if he's up by a minute or 2 minutes or whatever it ends up being.
If it's more than a minute, I don't think they go for it. But if no.
If it's just a second or 2 or 3 or 5.
Okay, but we haven't had that in decades. So
I'm
who
not
knows?
sure if that's ever happened.
So
Well, for the shots, because it hasn't always ended as a shot sprint.
No,
It's-
but for
it's
the last
Tour's-
20 years or
Yeah.
whatever it has.
And in the last 20 years, there's been nothing like that. That is not. I actually had Cassie quiz me on all the winners over the last 30 years. I was really close on getting most of them. But
wow.
I know I was way more nerd. Now.
Nerd.
Do you know who beats me? Those John Hoffman. I actually think
yeah.
is a better Tour de France historian than I am. I think he knows his stuff a little bit more. But I think John would agree with me. In the last 20 years, there's been nothing that would be like this. Because I mean, you're talking about Le Mans versus Hinault was a time trial on the last day, so that's a completely different story.
yeah, it was different.
No, but I completely agree. I think if it comes down to less than 60-second gap, Vingegaard goes back less than 60 seconds. Jumbo-Visma comes up with a plan. They are attacking that day, and Wout will be leading it. It'll be Wout's. They'll say, Wout, we will pay you $1 million extra if you decide to not win the Champs-Elysees this year. We need you to break away with Vingegaard. And then who knows? Maybe you get Ineos to get in on it too, and Ghana jumps in. He's sure, let Yates in this breakaway.
He
We'll make
could
it
still
happen.
win. He could still win if he wants. Just say, Jonas, just sit on my wheel
Yeah.
all the way to the finish.
Yeah.
I'll win. You win. We all win. You know.
Well, and the 3 stages before with the time trial, you're talking a lot of the sprinters teams are going to be exhausted because they're going to be dead going through. COVID's kind of ripped through a lot of these teams too. There's only going to be a couple teams chasing them. And right now, Wout has proven that his power is basically the equivalent of an entire lead-out train.
yeah.
He has you still have to, if you're chasing down Wout van Aert, your front guy still has to put out over 500 watts for a while.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
But is there anything in the rule books that says it's over?
No,
No.
of course not.
So why
Is there-
can't we have this? I want this, Evan.
Is there
He's-
a champagne sponsor deal where they have to drink the champagne? What if? Oh my gosh! Could you imagine if
No, there's not.
Says champagne's Red Bull in there.
Pogacar goes and takes a drink of the champagne and Wout attacks at that moment and they're just going for
They're
it.
back there with their arms around each other doing
Yeah,
all the photo
doing
op,
the
and all of a
photo
sudden he
ops.
comes bombing through there.
He
That would be so
He
rad.
throws a bow into Pogacar, drops his champagne. The greatest tour moment ever.
That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
I know it's not going to happen, but that's what I want to see. That would be fantastic.
What would the celebration even be at that point? I want a American football style celebration. Like Vingegaard takes his bike and spikes the bike on the ground, rips his shirt open. It's like WWE celebration
pounding
after
up.
that. Yeah.
Good times. Well,
Let's go, Jumbo-Visma. Make this thing interesting.
Well, yeah, I guess they have to lose some time to gain some time to make it.
That's true. Yeah, Jumbo-Visma, lose the time first, and then let's make this exciting.
Do you think that would happen the other way around, though? If Pogacar was down by 2 seconds, would UAE do anything to try and make it interesting to put some time into them to get that back?
Pogacar would. The problem is I'm not sure if they have the firepower. Pogacar, I'm not sure he can do it by himself. I mean, that's because he would have just had the time trial the day before, too. We're talking that's 2 massive efforts back-to-back days.
You get all the other teams that don't have any sprinters because they all got dropped in the Pyrenees, and they're like, "Hey, not
Make a
my
deal."
fight," and they just
Yeah,
they sit up and just watch. It just comes kind of like a mano-a-mano.
It just is Wout basically trying to chase down Pogacar at that point. That would be great. The rest of Peloton's given up. They're like, nah, I want to cruise in today.
Right on. Anything else, guys?
Nah, I think that's good.
That's enough.
All right, let's
Plenty.
put this one to bed. Let's do one last thing. Evan, you got any one last thingers for us?
Yes. I am going to be racing Telluride in 2 weeks.
Yep.
In a little bit less than 2 weeks. Everybody send David Goodman good vibes out there too, because between the two of us, he is the one who is far more prepared for this one and is ready to go out there and do well. So
Jake, what's the over-under on how many times Evan crashes during the race?
I hope I just don't hold David back. That's my only goal is that if David's having a good day, let's hope that I don't ruin it for him.
I hope you just don't get injured on
Yes.
one of your many crashes.
I know.
That's what I
know.
I don't want to call them crashes. I just want to call them spills because
Okay,
spills
dismounts.
dismounts. How many dabs does he
How
have?
many dabs?
I'm gonna
does
so
Evan
on the
have?
downhills, just so you guys know, I am riding brake on those downhills. I'm gonna be with some 65-year-old hard man Colorado dude with me. I'll be like, can we truce and do this easy, just you and me? So,
And they're gonna
yeah.
scoff at you.
probably
and
drop me like a sandbag.
Make
Yeah,
sure
but
you get your bike all tuned up and ready to go too. Make sure you
Yeah.
get some new brake pads in there. Make sure your bike is
yeah,
like rock solid.
The brake pads were actually pretty great over,
Okay.
over the weekend, so I think they're good. I cleaned it last night
Good,
to
good.
get all the dust off and everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
I should probably next Monday. I might drop the bike off just for a second, just to make just be a 2-minute tune. Just be like, make sure nothing's gonna kill me on this. And that's
Are you driving or flying?
flying.
Cool.
Flying to Salt Lake, and then we got to drive to Telluride. So
Gotcha.
it's a long travel day.
Sweet. Yep.
I'm gonna race my bike again and try to keep it upright
And not go 100 miles
and
on
not-
mountain bike trails.
I'm gonna see if I can set more heart rate records as a
Nice.
52-year-old man, which is not good.
We will have very different heart rate profiles over the next 2 weeks.
Yes. So that's my plan for tomorrow. When you hear this, it'll already be over. Also, we have the ride around Clark County, which is a big group ride that happens here in Vancouver, Washington. That
Put on by
happens
the-
this Saturday.
Vancouver Bicycle Club.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
So-
their big fundraiser for the year, and it's a fantastic ride. It's a beautiful ride.
It's a beautiful ride. So just wanted to mention that.
Cool. My one last thing, obviously, is going to be something that I'm going to be at, whether I'm in a race or not. I don't know. I'm going to be out there providing mechanic support for the Vancouver Courthouse Crit, which unfortunately is on the same day as the ride around Clark County because I wanted to
Same
do
day.
that,
Yes.
which is a big bummer. And we'll be out there with a bunch of teammates and helping people get their bikes sorted out if they've got some issues. And then we'll be out at the Hammer Crit the following day on Sunday out at Swan Island. Both of these races are put on by Pacific Office Automation, and a big hats off to those guys who have been working their butts off. They've done such a great job
They
of
have.
promoting
Yep.
these, really done a good job of putting the word out there. And I really want to see them be successful with these. And if you're interested in doing a crit race, you can go to, I believe both of the races are up on Oprah's schedule, if I'm not mistaken.
The
Hammer Crit is.
Hammer Crit is, the other one is not on Ober's schedule. I think it's on.
I think it's still up there, though.
Is it?
I think that they still put it on the calendar. But if it's not, you can go to USA Cycling's calendar. You can see it there. But anyway, go check those out if you want to go out and race. It's not too late. I believe that they're doing day of stuff, and they've got a ton of prizes that they're giving away. So it should be pretty cool.
It is on Ober's calendar.
Yep. So very cool. Obra.org and usacycling.com, I think, maybe. Or try both. It'll work. Cool. All right. We will be back next week. Maybe sooner. I don't know. We'll see. Got to maybe talk to Matt, but we'll kind of go from there.
Maybe we can live stream Hanukkah.
That would be fun.
Wait, is that Thursday or Wednesday?
It's Thursday.
Thursday.
We could do this. I'll be doing a bike workout at literally the same time in the tournament. We can almost do the same exact
There you
thing.
go. That was fun.
We could do the same thing.
100%. Yep. I'm
Bunch
there.
of people tell us that they enjoyed
I will
that,
be
so
on the trainer until 9:30, which the race will end by 8:30, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do it.
stay tuned. Maybe we'll make that happen. And until then, bye for now.